BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, and college basketball, NHL to UFC and MMA. Head to BetOnline today to get in on the action and with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline. The game starts here. Welcome to Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals, part of the Bleav Network, joined by former tight end and Super Bowl 33 participant Ed Smith. I am Javon Adams. Be sure to subscribe, comment, rate, and follow this podcast and tell all your Arizona Cardinals fans and friends to do the same. You can also watch us on Bleav TV around the country, in airports, and on YouTube. Read the top Bleav stories at si.com and follow us across all our Bleav socials. Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. What is good, Ed Smith?
Well, apparently things are good around here, man. We got a 1-point favor in the Cardinals, courtesy of BetOnline, going up against these New York Jets this week. And once again, no, bro, that's too slim a margin for me. I need a little more. I'm kind of surprised that the Cardinals are only getting a point at home against a team that's only won in the Jets, they won 3 games, I think it is. Yeah, let me see this.
3 games.
Jets, 3-6, and we're 5-4 riding a 3-game streak, and I thought we'd get a little more at home.
Interesting. We do this thing twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays. Mondays, we look back on the game that was. Thursdays, we look ahead to the game that's coming up. And the game that's coming up is, as my partner alluded to, as my partner mentioned, is the New York Jets coming to State Farm Stadium. And that -1, it is a little bit disrespectful. I mean, I know 5-4 is 5-4. I mean, it's above 500, but coming off a 3-game winning streak, you would think that the spread would be a little bit more than that. What does Vegas know that we don't know?
Or do they not believe quite yet? Get it? See, I did that.
I see what you did.
I mean, the jury is still out on the Cardinals. I mean, we are talking about a team that obviously they're riding this 3-game streak, but just the 2-game winning streak alone is the first time they've done that since 2021. So, and then you got a veteran quarterback coming in here who knows how to win on the road. He's not going to be shaken like a rookie possibly. So apparently, obviously, they know the bookies. They know more than we do 99% of the time. So I would assume the line is accurate, and we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, me personally, I was just like you, a little shocked when I saw that the Cardinals were only getting 1.
So let's get into this a little bit because before we take a dive into it. My oldest son, I was talking to him about, some different things happened yesterday that we were talking about, just having a grown man discussion about some things. But he wanted me to make sure to tell you that there is reason for excitement in Mudville, and especially when, as you just mentioned, the last time that the Cardinals had a 2-game winning streak was so many years ago, and the last time 3-game winning streak. So there's reason to be optimistic in the land of the Arizona Cardinals. He wanted me to make sure to let you know that.
I don't mind being put in my place when it's the right thing to do. Like I said, we have been on and off as far as picking these games with the Cardinals. I will say I did pick them last week to beat the Bears. We'll get at our bets and predictions later in the show, but I gotta be honest with you, this one scares me a little bit. This has potential for Cardinals, and out there I have reasons why I think this has potential for Cardinals to get back to their inconsistent ways. But this one does have me a little worried though.
Okay. So we'll definitely get to that. Before we get to that though, there was some news. The trade deadline was on Tuesday. It came and went. The Cardinals did make a move. They acquired outside linebacker and edge rusher from the Denver Broncos. What is my man's name? Baron Browning. And so he's a 6'3", 240-pound linebacker. He is he's had 9.5 career sacks since his career began. What in 2020? No, he was drafted in 2021 out of Ohio State, and so of course my youngest son Elijah, he is really excited about that since he came from Ohio State. Since he just loves anybody from Ohio State, but not really expected to be a major contributor. Maybe a bit role player. He's going to be starting low on the depth chart and maybe rise, but it wasn't necessarily a blockbuster move, or one that, as we talked about on one of our other podcasts, we talked about kind of when you get to this deadline, what do players want to see? But this wasn't one of those moves where somebody's going to necessarily get nervous in the locker room, or there's going to be a whole lot of overwhelming confidence because now we got the dude that's going to put us over the top.
I think we talked about it on our other podcast earlier. Yesterday, I think it was. This, to me, because he's not even a player that, like, normally when you make a trade, this guy slot him in right here. He's going to be in your rotation starting, et cetera, et cetera. Right now, it looks like Browning is going to be at the back end of the depth chart, which means he is a futuristic player, not even like right now we need this guy. So the fact that he's starting down on the depth chart, this is more for, and we talked about this, the Cardinals weren't in any position to go leveraging future draft choices on a long shot to try to contend this year. That's not their MO. They're a team that should still be thinking about the future building, and this appears to be one of those moves because, and I'm not even sure what to do the research, find out what exactly they gave up for Browning, but obviously it wasn't that much. And because you don't give a whole lot up for a player that's coming in and that he isn't even starting on your team, or they're mentioning he's down on the depth chart. So for me, this is it was somebody they might have what happens sometimes, Jay. This might have been a player that when he was drafted or when he was coming out, they had an eye on. They missed him in the draft or something like that, and they had an opportunity. His name came up, and we're like, yeah, we really did like him back then, or whatever it was, and like, hey, we can get him for this to bring him in. Yeah, that's cool. So I like the move. It wasn't anything flashy or big time, but what it is, it tells me that they're still thinking about, we're trying to win now. We're also looking for some pieces for the future as well.
What's interesting is you mentioned the future. One thing to of note is that he is a free agent after this season, so maybe he's going to be playing for a contract, or to maybe be a little bit, maybe be a part of the future plans for the Arizona Cardinals. But again, alas, the Arizona Cardinals were one of those kind of those handful of teams, or a little bit more than a handful of teams, that did make some moves either a couple of weeks before the trade deadline or right at the trade deadline. So that should be noted. So Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. He is Ed Smith. I'm Javon Adams. We are presented by Bet Online. Now, question for you, because it's almost like you read my mind there, partner. Coach Gannon says he has his eyes on finishing first in the NFC West, which kind of increases the expectations, maybe puts a little bit of pressure on the team there. But you mentioned that there's something that might cause you a little bit of concern here. The first thing that came to mind, and I put in our show notes, is this a trap game? And even are the Cardinals good enough to even be looking at teams as a trap game? But what are your thoughts when you mentioned that this might be a game where you have a little bit of concern with the Arizona Cardinals coming up against the Jets?
Well, for one, this is a game where the Jets do come in here with a quarterback who is a wily old veteran, to say is at the least. This guy is the epitome of you're never going to rattle him. So the Cardinals have had some issues in terms of, even a couple of young quarterbacks have played well against us. For instance, Jaden Daniels destroyed us. So you got to think that right now, Rodgers is licking his chops to get in here. We haven't put on a whole lot of pressure on opposing quarterbacks, and we haven't ruffled any feathers. So for him, he's looking and thinking, I got this. This is going to be a good week for me. The other thing is our shiny new toy, Marvin Harrison, right? What do they have on the other side of the ball, meaning the New York Jets, as far as what is our kryptonite right now? They got some doggone good cornerbacks over there. Sauce Gardner, he's licking his chops right now, thinking, okay, I'm meaning Marvin Harrison. He front, they can handle the run. And I don't have to get the numbers and anything. They tend to handle the run decently. They got some beef up front. They handle the run. If they stop us from running the ball, and then they can also shut Marvin Harrison down and not have to shut him down with numbers, meaning, hey, Sauce, follow him wherever he goes, or we got both of these cornerbacks. We can lock him down. If they take that away from us, what is our formula? We tend to get away from our winning formula pretty easy. And this is a game that scares me in terms of all of a sudden we're not running the ball well to start. They've got Connor kind of bottled up, and our passing game has been hit or miss already. But then you got these two cornerbacks, Sauce being the cream of the crop, and the one spot. All of a sudden they're shutting Marvin down. Where do we go? Think about what else is our offense, Jay, because we no longer, in my opinion, like Kyler is right now, either he's not doing it or he's been directed not to do it. He's not the running threat that he normally is. So where do we fall? What do we fall back on if Connor isn't giving us one of those games and then we're not getting it done on the outside with Marvin? Obviously, we got Trey on the inside, but, I mean, what happens if Trey doesn't give us one of those 10 or 11 catch games? This has a potential for us to be shut down on all fronts as far as our offense, and it scares me a little bit. That's the part that scares me, is that we could possibly be running into a buzzsaw with our offense because, like I said, they have the tools to stop us. They just have to perform on that side. And if they do, what do we fall back on? And, and then, like I said, defensively, you're facing a veteran who they're still trying to figure it out over there, but he's got his shiny new toy in Devontae Adams. They got Wilson on the outside as well. They got running backs who can run the ball. They can do all the things that hurt us on both sides of the ball. And that's why I'm a little leery about this one. And that's what I think the bookmakers are thinking too. This has a potential, the Cardinals have played well for 3 games in a row, but are we about ready to, I know it's after Thanksgiving, but we could turn back into that pumpkin real fast. And I just think this game has the potential to turn on us, basically. That inconsistent, not just in the play on the field, but with the game plan scheming and play calling of the day. I got a bad feeling we could get away from what's gotten us here over the last 3 games, and it turns into one of those games where once again we're shaking and scratching our heads. I'm not giving away. I don't want to give away too much because I might surprise you with who actually picked with this game, but I was just giving you a heads up. This has the potential to quite possibly roll back the clock and have everybody once again, damn, there go them Cardinals again. So those are the reasons why, because like I said, the formula is there on both sides of the ball for us to have one of those games. And like I said, it does make me a little leery. And that's definitely why I wouldn't go to bet online and put any money on this one. But even just picking it straight up, it's causing me trepidation.
So when you, and to your point though, so if we look at last game, there was the player, the wide receiver or tight end that had the most targets last week was Marvin Harrison with 5, and Trey McBride had 4 targets. He had 3 receptions, and so the most receptions on the team for the receiving core was 3 with Trey McBride. So there's something there, but could it be the beginning of resolve? Being able to make a way out of no way, as they say in the black church, if the Cardinals weren't able to get the passing game going last week, and they were able, because Kyler Murray had 154 passing yards with 20 attempts, that they can get it done if they stay the course and stay with the running game. But then I guess the other half of that equation would be relying on their defense, who the last couple of weeks, starting with the second half of the Dolphins game, they've really been able to kind of make some plays and elevate from being a bend don't break.
Well, here was the difference. Last week, we didn't need a passing game because our running game was so effective. And that's part of the reason why I said, I was really impressed with last week's game, because they got on something and they never got off it. It was Connor to the left, Connor to the right, and Connor all day long on that defense. And that's exactly what we needed. That's why we didn't need too much from Murray. My question is, okay, we might come out and think, okay, same thing. We will get, and all of a sudden the run game is shut down. So this would be the exact opposite of last week. Last week we were doing it and never had to get off of it. What if we come out, and this is what scares me, what if we come out and it's either not working right away, or we do stay after it for a while and we get into the late part of the first half and we're realizing now they came with an agenda today. We are not going to be able to run the ball, and with our passing game not quite clicking, not quite curling, right?
Curling, yeah.
And then we have to fall. We haven't had a game, in my opinion, yet where, because we'd have to go back and look. Murray, he might have a 300-yard passing game. I think one, maybe two. Okay, but we haven't had that game where he's thrown 4 touchdowns, 350 or 60 yards, 40 some odd attempts. One of those is coming soon, meaning the necessity for it, because somebody has shut us down and made it a point of, if they're going to beat us, it's not going to be with Connor. And, so this could be that game where they line the front up. And like I said, the reason they scare me is because they have the ability to put extra guys in the box because they're so well protected on the corners. They don't have to worry about coverage to a certain degree. So they can take their safeties and either blitz them sometime or get them down there in the support of the run game, because they don't have to worry about leaving their guys on an island. So they have that extra added luxury. So what if they shut our run game down, which last week we were able to run all over the place, all over Chicago. It wasn't even a necessity to go to option number 2. What if we have to go to option number 2 because we're forced to do it? And then you have to contend with those corners and we can't get it done, because right now, anybody who's watching this team, our passing game is surviving each week, but it's not thriving. We're not out there blowing anybody away with our passing game right now. And every team, like you look at KC, they win all types of different ways. And you're starting to see Mahomes wake up a little bit, especially with Hopkins. So who knows? Then maybe the next chapter in their 4-game set, because we used to do, when you're doing these seasons, sometimes you do them in quarters. So we never know. They might wake up and all of a sudden the next 4 weeks they might go pass happy on everybody. We don't know. But I still am waiting to see if we have the capability to do that. And this might be the game where we get locked down as far as our run game, and then there's like, hey, we dare you to throw it. And to this point, we haven't shown, we can drop back 40 times and, come away with 300, like I said, 360 yards with 4 dimes, in the back of the end zone. I'm still waiting to see that game, but that's why, I'll be real curious to see how this one starts off, what the attack defensively of the Jets is. Do they come out after watching what we did to Chicago last week and they're like, hey, they're not running the ball on us? And then if that's not successful, do we have a second act in the show? So it would be interesting. Like I said, we all know it's a game of adjustments, and with what we've done recently with the run game, teams are now going to focus on stopping that. And now we're going to have to figure out, what our second act is.
So before we get to what your keys are for the Cardinals to win this game, I'll give you some statistics from the Jets. And so again, this is Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. He's Ed Smith. I'm Javon Adams, and we are presented by Bet Online. Just because of the record, don't let as they used to say, don't let the smooth taste fool you. Don't let the record fool you, because at 3-6, the Jets are, when it comes to the offensively, they're 25th when it comes to points scored, 19 points per game. The last 4 games, they've been at right around that average of 19.5 points per game scored. Now, defensively, to your point, there's a couple of statistics that really stick out that maybe are support your thesis statement there. One is the points allowed per game, 20.3, which is 10th in the NFL. So 20.3 in the last four games, they've allowed 24.5 points per game. There was an outlier there where they gave up, I want to say, maybe 37 points, if I'm not mistaken. But when it comes to defensive pass yards per game, they give up 158 yards per game, which is second in the NFL. So that's definitely would go to support what you're saying. And if they're looking at maybe trying to run the ball from a Cardinal standpoint, They give up defensively they 132 yards a game, which is 21st. So that might be that soft underbelly there. But so if we get to it, what do the Cardinals have to do in order to win this game? I would think instead of running these go routes or being able to run these seam routes, maybe doing a little bit more. I guess it's easy for me to say maybe crossing patterns, maybe levels, doing some things to maybe have those wide receivers coming across the middle a bit. But then again, as you like to say, I don't know if you noticed, Jay, but we got a short quarterback, so I don't know if how that works with Kyler Murray. But maybe being able to roll him out if we're doing some of those things. But what do you think the Cardinals need to do from offensive and defensive standpoint to come away with a 4th straight win?
All right, this is exactly what I think the Cardinals need to do. Cardinals need to have and this is going a little deep, so be ready for this one. Cardinals need to come with the first 15, meaning first 15 scripted plays to force the Jets to show them how they're going to play us this week. It's almost like a good game of spades sometimes, Jay, right? You want to get a run on the spades, right? So you might have to come out early and hit them, boom, because I want to see who got what. And I want to see, because I'm gonna run you. I got big and little joker. Maybe I got the ace. I got the queen. I got a couple of. I want to run you. I want to see what you got, so I can, because I might have a bunch of diamonds and stuff. If I can get you out early, then all this stuff I got over here in my bag is gonna be good. What I got to do first, though, at some point, I got to find out what you got in your hand, and I do that with the first 15. What I'm doing is scripting to see how you're going to play certain formations, how you're going to adjust to certain motions, how you're going to attack our run game. If we want to get Murray on the move and stuff like that, that's all added bonus. But I definitely, in my first 15, I want to script it, come out, see how you're going to handle things, and then having a game plan ready to go for however you decide that you're going to play us. Because I don't want to necessarily come in and let's try this first and then let's try that. And no, I want to script it so I know how you're going to. And this means sometimes you got to you got to come with more than just one game plan in hand. You got to be ready to adjust on the fly. You got to be ready to, if normally we don't come in with a whole bunch of stuff, but if they decide they're going to throw 8 in the box and do this and do that, because we haven't seen a lot of that yet, we got to have our package ready for, let's go 11 personnel on them, a bunch. Let's get Marvin going deep. Let's throw some crossing stuff in there. If they're going to play a lot of man against us, let's get a lot of our routes that'll run away from them. If they want to come out and to hit us with the zone stuff, let's get some of our stuff where we can hit those pockets. This might be time for you, Trey, to have a big day across the middle in some of that zone and stuff like that. So what I'm saying is our game plan needs to be totally adjustable this week. Because after the way we ran the ball against Chicago last week, I don't think any good team is not going to just, hey, well, that looks cool. We'll see if we can stop the run. No, I think they're going to, they know, especially if you look at Murray's numbers, they're already like, Murray threw the ball for 150 yards or whatever, and they won the way they did. Well, how'd they do that? Oh, they were running the hell out of that ball. So in order for us, we got to take that away. So they're going to come over here with a plan to take that away. And what I want to do as far as offensively for the Cardinals, from a Cardinals standpoint, I want to see how they're going to try to do that. And then I've got this secondary game plan ready to go, meaning we've worked on some of these other things already from this game, from the secondary game plan. We might not have put 100% of the time in it, but we alerted everybody that, hey, be ready for this and this, because if they go to this and they're constant, this is the other plays that we're going to have ready, and these are the other formations. And just so you know, we've used some of this stuff already in previous weeks, so it's not all brand new to us, so we should be fresh on it. So that's what I want to see. I want to see the Cardinals come out and force the hand of the Jets, how they're going to, show them some stuff. And if the early stuff works, then you stay with it until further notice. But I guarantee you, the Jets will come out with a plan to shut us down from running the ball. And okay, now what you got? Well, hey, guess what? I got this and I got this, and that's what I want the Cardinals to do, to be ready to show this and this. So as far as the game plan, I want to see an adjustable. you might not have seen this yet, but we got some more tricks in our bag. And this might be a game, Jay, where because every game doesn't tell the whole story. Say we get to the end of the game and it's a victory, right? And we end up running the ball 25 times, but we end up throwing it 35 to 40. That shows me that, like I said, one size does not fit all, and they were ready to take advantage of whatever the Jets allowed them to take advantage of. So, I mean, we're always on them about it's got to be, you got to have some balance in your back. Sometimes, according to what you're seeing, you can be a little unbalanced, and this might be a game where we are a little unbalanced because of what they tried to take away from us, but we were then successful at utilizing maybe, some things they haven't seen before in our passing game. And, so that's what I'm looking for. If we come out and then just decide we're going to run the ball like we did last week, and then we're seeing very early on that it's not quite working, and then we stay with the same game plan, and we're just going to run it until further, that'll let me know that they're still not quite there yet in terms of making the adjustments one week to the next. Now, I hope that makes sense to everybody. But like I said, that's why those guys get paid a lot of money. As we're finding out what's successful for us, other teams are seeing what's successful for us. They're going to try to stop it. And then we have to be ready with our counterpunch to their counterpunch. So, and then defensively, man, quite honestly, we just got to stop them from running the ball and try to get after Rodgers. Because when you play against a quarterback like Rodgers, this should be a field day for your front, because you don't have to worry about him getting out and exploiting the pocket. And like Jaden, you had to contain him. Even Caleb's a little more reckless with his running, though. He likes to do a lot of that, running backwards 10 to try to run forwards 5 to then throw it down the field 30. And whereas Jaden, the whole time his eyes are up, he's not retreating. He's seeing, okay, I got to escape here. And then he's, attacking the line of scrimmage, eyes still up, can throw it. And if it's not there, boom, he's taking off on you. With Rodgers is like a Statue of Liberty back there. You know where he's going to be at all times. He can't run anymore. He can still move around in the pocket, but you should know there's a small radius where Rodgers is going to be. That should be all of our landing zones to get after him, sack him a bit, and then, like I said, stop them from running the ball. I mean, obviously you got Devontae on the outside, you got Wilson on the outside. If you let him sit back there, because of his mature nature, he's going to pick you apart. He's going to destroy you. So you have to get after him. Don't be reckless, but get after him. And like I said, try to stop the running game, force them into some long third downs, and then get off the field on third down when you can. If you do that and you're successful, and then, like I said, from the other part defensively, what they try to do with us, we can dictate and counteract that, then I think we could win this game.
All right. So yeah, definitely when you talk about that getting off on third down, that has been a challenge for the defense.
The bugaboo.
It has been the bugaboo. So having said that, what is your pick for this game? Again, as you mentioned, BetOnline has the Cardinals -1. I'm thinking it probably will be a close one. I'm thinking that I'm thinking 24-21 Cardinals. 24-21 Cardinals. We got a kicker that we're comfortable with in case we need to kick only a 50+ yard field goal. And I say that but that you're comfortable with. So I say 24-21 Cardinals, 4 in a row.
Because of the mature nature of their quarterback, and I know all the adversity they've been dealing with and everything. When you come in here, Devontae's probably getting a little more comfortable. I have a hard time going against the Cardinals because they have won 3 in a row, and this is only a 3-win Jets team coming in here. But something is bothering me about how the things that I just talked to you about, whether we make the proper adjustments on our side offensively, and whether we can dictate things or defensively on our side to contain and keep Rodgers at bay. And because of that, reluctantly, I'm going to go 27-24 New York Jets. I said it's hard for me to do that because I do like what they're doing, but this just seems one of those games. They will really surprise me if, like I said, if they can get after Rodgers, get him off his spot, confuse him at all in any way, and I said it seems like a game. It's a stepping stone for us, but I think in the end it'll be another one of those learning examples that we're close. We just got a little ways to go still.
All right. So he is the one and only Ed Smith. I am Javon Adams. We do this thing twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays. Now, next week, the Cardinals will be off, so they have a bye week. So we'll probably bring you this the show on Tuesday. So it'll be a little bit more in depth and do it that way. But Mondays and Thursdays, Mondays we look back on the game that was, and Thursdays we look ahead to the upcoming opponent. So maybe we'll do kind of one of those report cards, one of those report card shows. So and as always, we are presented by Bet Online. Make sure you tell a friend about what we have going on here. And as we always like to say around this time, you can